Hello viewers, Namaskar, this is Dr. Hemant. Welcome to my YouTube channel. There is a saying that it requires a lot of knowledge to control others. At the same time, it requires real wisdom to control oneself. The COVID-19 crisis has brought the whole world into a standstill. The virus has not only managed to enter our body, but it has also entered deep inside our mind. It has altered the thought process of our mind. We can find people who are very anxiously thinking about what will happen in the future, how to manage their jobs, how to manage their finance. And there are people who crib at why this really happened. Amidst this crisis, there are people who are at peace and who are cheerful. How do they manage to be cheerful in this situation? Today's video is all about how to stay cheerful and happy during this COVID-19 crisis. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button. In case you are visiting my channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe my channel to get more interesting videos like this. Viewers, let's not waste much of our time. Let us understand how to handle the situation and how to be cheerful and how to fight the anxiety and depression which can arise in this particular situation. Now, I'll suggest you 3 simple ways how to handle this situation. The first thing is to accept the situation. The second important thing is to answer your mind for all the thoughts that are arising in your mind. This is very, very important. You have to answer your mind. If you don't answer your thought process, then you can't be at peace with yourself. Thirdly, then how to really have a routine and how to really meditate. I'm going to tell in the end of this particular video how to practically meditate amidst this crisis and still stay cheerful and happy. Firstly, you can really find around you people asking you to ignore the situation. Don't watch the video. Don't watch TV. They are talking all the time about coronavirus. Just ignore the TV. So if you ignore the TV, then you will be at peace at mind. This can happen only to a certain extent. But how long can you ignore the TV? And there are people who advise you, why don't you sit for a meditation? This will help you. Oh, this is going to help you. But when you are sitting for meditation, the mind keeps on asking you, how will you manage your money? How will you manage your job in the future? If I lose the job, I should have saved some money. So many thoughts arise in your mind. Roughly there are 60,000 thoughts which arise in a person's mind per day. So how will you manage these thoughts when you sit for meditation? So today's video, I am going to tell you how to manage the thoughts when you sit for meditation in the end. So the first thing first, let us understand how to learn to accept a situation in a crisis. During crisis, it is very natural for you and me to be very upset, very depressed, very irritated, and sometimes we may go to an extent that we put the blame on others too. This is very normal. So don't feel guilty about your initial reactions. This is very, very normal. But the best thing that you can do is give some time for yourself so that the problem sinks in your mind and you start feeling that the reality of the problem and waking up as though you are waking up from the dream and accepting the reality. So the first important thing is give some time for yourself. Here is a short story of Gautam Buddha which will really convince you about this matter. Gautam Buddha wanted to teach his disciples the value of giving time for yourself when you are in a crisis or a problem. He was traveling with his disciples in a bullock cart. He happens to cross a stream of water. After crossing the stream of water, suddenly he asked one of his disciples to get him some water to drink. The disciple quickly got down the bullock cart and he fetched some water and he brought it to Gautam Buddha to drink. Buddha rejected the water. The water was contaminated. Once again the disciple ran and to another place in the same stream he collected some water. Even that water was impure. It was mixed with the mud. So now the disciple started thinking, why my Guruji is asking me to do this? And every time I take the water, he rejects. This time he doesn't hurry up. He gives some time so that the mud settles down and later collects the water and goes and gives it to the Gautam Buddha. The Gautam Buddha happily accepts the water and he tells my disciple, now have you understand the value of giving time and taking patience so that the things settle down and you get a clarity in the vision and you have got the clean water for me. So similarly, whenever there is a problem, give yourself some time so that the situation gets diluted and the problem can be viewed in a clarity. This is very, very important. So this is the first most important thing to react whenever you are in a crisis. See that you accept the situation, give you some time for yourself so that the problems there is a clarity in the problem so that you can handle the problem much better. So that is my first tip towards handling the crisis. So now that you have learned how to accept a situation in a crisis, the next important thing is to observe the thoughts that are arising in your mind during the time of crisis. Calm down yourself and observe those thoughts that are causing anxiety and depression in you. What are those thoughts? Is it normal to get the thoughts? Yes, it is very much normal to get thoughts which cause you anxiety and depression. Secondly, can you ignore the thoughts? No, not at all. You can't ignore the thoughts. So what to do? The best way is to address the thoughts and convince your mind that these thoughts are quite natural and give a logical explanation to the mind so that the mind accepts the explanation of yours and calms down. For example, if the mind is worried about the future job, please convince your mind and remind your mind that you were once a beginner long back and that day you really did well in your interview, you got a job and you have reached this stage from zero to this stage. So you are quite capable of managing yourself in a crisis. That is, you have a possibility or you have a capacity to get a new job even though you lose a job because you have already done this before. So the past events have to be mentioned to the brain so that it gets courage that you can do this and you will get another job even though you lose a job. Similarly, if your mind is worried about the financial crisis, please talk to your mind and tell your mind that there are people around you who are not even having that much of money as what you are having. And if you are worried about yourself, then who should take care of those people? So when you tell these things to the mind automatically takes the things positive and it gets a ray of hope that everything will be fine in the future. So this is the most important thing. Whatever thoughts that arise in your mind during the time of crisis, you can't ignore them. Please address them. The past events have to be mentioned very positively to the mind so that the mind accepts it and it translates the thoughts into a positive thoughts. I'll tell a small story to convince you about this. There was a famous king and he had a famous minister in his court who was very wise. And whenever the king was in crisis, he always used to take an advice from the minister. And each time the minister advises him, the problem used to really get solved. But there was one very interesting thing the minister did before he got to the court of the palace. He used to go and sit in a particular room for 1 hour and then he used to come to the king's court and give his suggestion to the king. The king was very keen to know why he does this every time he calls him in the time of crisis. And the minister had to answer this one day because the king is asking the question. So the minister answered in a very humble way. Rajan, I go to the room because in that room I have the memories of my past. The memories of where I started my journey in the past. So I have kept there in the room the first clothes that I bought, the shoe that I bought, the watch, of course, the ring or whatever the ornaments he has bought. Those things are there in the room. And whenever I go to the room and look at those things that I had a long back, I get a confidence in myself that I have reached so much to this level to the life. And whenever I take a decision, I keep the people who are in that stage in my mind and I give a verdict. That's why whenever I give a solution for your crisis, the crisis gets solved. So the king was very impressed with the answer. So our past should only motivate us because we all started from a scratch and we have reached this stage. So don't be worried that you are going to be in trouble because of this corona crisis or any other crisis, because you can always have a new beginning in your life. So this is the most important thing. Thirdly, I was talking to you about the fact finding about the problem. Many of us are worried that we may catch up the COVID disease, our family members may catch up, I may die, and what will happen to my family if I die? This type of thoughts come to us. Let us always face the problem by finding the facts about the problem. The facts about COVID-19 is most of the people who are affected get healed from this particular disease. Not everyone dies. It's few percentage of people die, and few percentage of people are in the ICU, are in the very serious condition. So most of us recover from the disease. So this is the most important fact finding thing. There is also a possibility that a vaccine can be invented. Also, by you are following the preventive measures like washing your hands and quarantining yourself, which are already protecting you. So you should not be too much worried about a particular disease. So similarly, any other problem needs an insight into the problem, and we have to find the fact about the problem. Once you are convinced about the fact about the problem, you feel at ease. That is very, very important. So if your mind is thinking about the future, if it's thinking about the disease, you have to talk to your mind and see that the thoughts are cooled down and the mind accepts your explanation and it's cooled down. So you feel very relieved by this. Now, another important thing is you have to develop a habit of observing others, people who are around you, who are of the same profession. Suppose you are say you are a musician. You can find people around you in the time of crisis that doing some creative work in the music which they have not done earlier. If a person is a writer, he was writing some article for a newspaper, he starts writing a story, he starts writing a poem. So there is some creativity around the people around you. So you have to see that by observing the people around you of your profession and finding out how they are trying to be in the present, you should also try to imitate them. So the best way to stay in the present is to have a creativeness. Do some creative job like drawing or any hobby. Try to cultivate your hobby so that your mind gets involved in that and you start living in the present. So that's very important, and that's how the thoughts that are arising in your mind go on diluting, they go on decreasing in number day by day. So this is the most important thing. Finally, you should also keep in your mind that what some great people like Jawaharlal Nehru, when they were isolated in jail, what did they do? The Jawaharlal Nehru wrote a book on discovery of India when he was in the jail. So, and that book became very famous. So understand that in the quarantine period or when you are in the four walls, the best thing that you can do is to be creative. When you are creative, you will really succeed in life, or you will feel much comfortable. So different people of different profession, you have to observe and find out what creative things you can do. So finally, to sum up and end my speech, I would like to give you important things or tips to how to start your day and end your day during this COVID crisis. The first important thing that you and me have to do is never stay in the bed thinking and getting depressed about the situation and getting more worried about the situation. Don't hang on your bed up till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning and just waste your time like that. Please get up early and see that you do some physical exercise, whether it is jogging around your house or some skipping or some physical exercise which will give you some sweat and you start feeling a little better. The second important thing that you have to do is see that you eat less food. That is very important, and you can't fight the disease by overeating, because your immunity level will go down when you overeat. So keep this in your mind on day-to-day basis. So get up early in the morning, go for a walk or skipping, then you do a little bit of meditation. And I was telling you, I will be teaching you how to do meditation. Meditation is very simple, taking your breath inside and leaving it out slowly and observing it. So when you are doing the meditation, when you are observing your breath, when you are taking the breath inside and outside, naturally the thoughts will come to your mind, and the problem also props up in your mind. So as I told you in the first, second and third step, please talk to your mind and tell the mind that you have to accept the situation, and secondly, address all the thoughts that are coming to your mind. And so when you are doing the meditation, the mind cools down and you start concentrating on your breath and you start feeling much better. So until unless you don't convince your mind and don't handle your thoughts, you can't go to the state of meditation. Meditation is a state where the number of thoughts reduce. So that can happen only when you logically explain certain things to your mind. So this is very important. And as I told you, that you can't keep on avoiding the TV and other things a lot, and newspaper and news about the COVID or anything very much, but still you can try your best not to indulge in that the whole day. So these are my most important tips. That is, first you do some physical exercise, then you have to do some meditation, then you have to see that you eat very less food, and try to help the people in your house with some little bit of work, and try to have a love and affection among the family members. This is very, very important to keep you relaxed. And the most important and the final thing which I will never forget to tell you is that don't stop praying to God, because He will take care of everything in the end. So don't worry too much. Every situation has to change, and this also has to pass by. So viewers, I hope that this particular video will help you to bring you out of anxiety and depression during this COVID-19 crisis. I wish you all the best, and please don't forget to give a like button if you like my video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel in case you need to get more videos like this. In the end, I would like to mention once again what I mentioned initially, that it requires knowledge to control all people around you, but it requires real wisdom to control yourself. So when you are doing meditation, you are controlling yourself. It requires wisdom. It requires how to address your thoughts. You can't avoid all the thoughts. The thoughts are natural, they have to come. But when you give a logical explanation to the thoughts, then your mind accepts the thought and you go into meditative state. And that's how your wisdom increases. And that's how you'll overcome a crisis. So I wish you all the best in the future. Namaskar. And thanks a lot for watching my video. Namaste.